Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
We're back on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Mike Draper, filling in for Sam Shad, and I'm joined today with the Boys and Girls Club with Noelle Hardt, who's the Vice President of Government Relations for the Boys and Girls Club of Nevada Alliance, and with Mike Wurm, who's the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Truckee Meadows.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
We're back on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. We have a very special lineup this morning. We have Noelle Hardt, who's the Vice President of Government Relations for the Boys and Girls Club of Nevada Alliance, and Mike Wurm, the CEO and Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of the Truckee Meadows, and we're talking about all things related to kids. So thank you both for joining us.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Mike, before we get into it, we've got some very important topics to talk about today, but before we get into it, I don't think a lot of people realize the footprint that the Boys and Girls Club has, both in our individual communities, but also in our state. Can you give us just a little bit of an overview of the Boys and Girls Club?
Yeah, of course, we're here today to talk about the clubs statewide, and we have some great organizations north, south, and in the rurals. And I, of course, represent the Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows, which is here. Main footprint is in Washoe County, but we've also expanded. In September, we'll be opening a site in Lovelock and Nye County. We also have sites in Humboldt County, Winnemucca, Ely, Ely, and White Pine County, Lincoln County, and then also Tonopah. So we have quite a big swath. The Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows in northern Nevada, and then I have counterparts that kind of take up the rest of the parts of the state. So pretty big scope.
And Noelle, as part of that scope, you touch a lot of kids, right? I mean, the Boys and Girls Club serves a lot of kids. I know my kids grew up there. Can you give us kind of an overview of how many kids actually you work with?
Sure. So the snapshot in Nevada is we have 7 organizations that we work with, as well as, of course, the military bases have youth center, Boys and Girls Clubs on their facilities as well. And of those sites, we have 74 clubhouses statewide, serving over 22,000 Nevadan children.
Well, I mean, like I said, my kids grew up there. I know the important role they played in our lives. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to get right into it. One of the issues that I think is one of our most prevalent issues right now throughout the state is really daycare issues. And the fact that we just don't have enough daycares and daycare providers in the state. Mike, Boys and Girls Club plays a big role in that and can play an even bigger role. Can you give me sort of your thoughts on the daycare issues?
Yeah, I think, the pandemic really created some opportunities, right? And I think clubs traditionally have always done a good job of leaning into the needs of the community, especially around that 6 to 18-year-old group. And that's been our core mission for the history of the Boys and Girls Clubs for over 150 years, But during the pandemic and since the pandemic, the need of all of our communities has been licensed childcare. So it's kind of a number of us in the organization, in the state organization, have kind of moved into that 6-week to 5-year-old slot, which is where the biggest demand is. I mean, there were so many, I think in Washoe County alone, over 30 daycares closed during the pandemic. And today we still are serving less than 40% of the need for licensed childcare in northern Nevada. In the rural communities, it's even worse than that. We're working close on getting facilities open in Winnemucca and White Pine and in Ely and White Pine County. In both of those communities, less than 10% of the needs being met in those rural communities. And that story is the same in every other community that we have Boys and Girls Clubs organizations. So, as we talk about recovery and our goal isn't to get back where we were in 2019, it's to get to a better spot. And part of that means us leaning into that licensed childcare area and trying to help the whole family, not just the school-age kids.
Noelle, the term daycare desert has started to be thrown around, and this is a problem countrywide, but certainly even more so in Nevada. I think some of the numbers I read that 72% of Nevadans live in a daycare desert, that more than a quarter of our median income goes to daycare, and that a lot of parents are having to make decisions about whether to work or whether to stay home and watch their kids and spend those days with their kids. Can you talk a little bit about the daycare desert issue and how Boys and Girls Club is addressing that?
Sure. So with our roots, of course, being in out of school time. So essentially our slang, we call it OST. So out of school time means that after school, before and after school hours, and then during the summer hours. That's really where our roots were. And so it was a natural sort of trajectory for us to then look at, okay, so that's the school age group, but we know that the need is still with infants up to pre-K. And so, of course, Mike and his team did a great job of course, segueing into that licensed child care space in the first place, noticing that Washoe County, of course, had that immediate need. And I think the facility use agreements that we have, of course, with schools and community centers also lends itself that we're very accustomed to, of course, operating these facilities that, of course, are kid-friendly, and at the same time in these population hubs that are accessible for families that are working. So I think the matter is that, as much as our organizations are united around out-of-school time and the needs of school-age children, we also find our businesses in each of these 7 organizations segueing just a little bit to respond to Nevada's economy. And so that's really what has come about as far as our growth into the licensed childcare and the pre-K space.
Now, Mike, it's not that our elected officials aren't trying to address this issue. In fact, I think a couple of years ago, the state launched the Nevada Child Care Fund using ARPA dollars and some things like that. Have you seen, is that having an impact? Is that working?
Absolutely a move in the right direction, and really appreciate that. If we're trying to get our economy back and running, and I think we talked about in the state that we have one of the highest unemployment rates, but also some of the most jobs available, right? So, childcare is a potential solution for that. And the legislators, I think that they designated 70 million of ARPA funds towards that. And the main mission of that is to help find slots that are available for families and then help pay for those slots. But our biggest problem now is number of slots. So I think that is something that I know that people are aware of, and we're trying to get on everybody's plate politically, is we need more opportunities for people to have daycare. So build more daycares. And there are good daycare organizations out there. By us bringing it into the Boys and Girls Club, we've had to be careful to make sure that meets our mission too. So we really try to build centers that are available for all children, and we have high rates of subsidy kids that are available. That Nevada Child Care Fund helps for that considerably. and then make sure that we also have the quality that those kids deserve. So it is a complex issue. The state has moved in the right direction with the Nevada Child Care Fund. Now it's all about creating more opportunities.
Well, so let's follow up on the Nevada Child Care Fund, Noelle. That fund, if I'm not mistaken, is to it will help parents pay for the cost of child care, which is something that Boys and Girls Club deals with every day. Are there other things that we could be doing with that fund, or other things that our state, local leaders, and communities could be doing to address this daycare desert issue?
So I think the innovation around that fund, what would be exciting is to see some of the dollars freed up for actual capital. So as much as, yes, we want the spaces available, what we know are many of the centers are at capacity. And so, we have the operating challenge of course, staffing and ensuring that the salaries are competitive as well. So recruiting and retaining those staff to then, of course, care for the children. But the spaces are taken up so quickly. I was out in Yarrington yesterday with Boys and Girls Club Mason Valley. Their early learning center was at capacity within 24 hours of opening its doors. So what we need are the more facilities. And so could we take some of those dollars that are available for the slots and actually put them towards capital, so leasing buildings, improving those buildings, making them KIM-friendly, and actually converting them into licensed childcare. So then partners like Boys and Girls Club can come in and turn the lights on and open the doors and welcome those licensed childcare.
One of the things, Mike, that I've found very interesting for my family, I loved having my kids, they grew up in an early learning center, was the way Boys and Girls Club would go about those programs. And it wasn't just what maybe some people have in mind when they think daycare. It wasn't just babysitting.
Yeah, exactly.
There was great programming, things like that. And I think I read that Boys and Girls Club just got a grant for a literacy program.
Yes, for early literacy, absolutely. I can't be remiss to mention Kim Stevens. She's our director for Early Learning Center. She is a young early childhood savant, and I know she helped work with your kids, or work with your kids in the environment they created. But you're exactly right. I mean, it's more than babysitting. We are educational based. That's the name, Early Learning Center. And actually, if you said daycares in front of Kim, she would be quick to correct you that these are early learning centers. And the literacy grant is going to be significant. It was one that Noelle was able to help dig out of the trenches of opportunities out there, and then we were able to include ourselves and several other of the clubs in this. And Mike, it's not just providing that care for the kids, so kids have a safe place to play during the day, but we're still recovering from a lot of things that happened during the pandemic. And if you think about it, just simple as kids when they were 1 and 2 years old, where they learned so much about their language skills by watching people talk and listening to people, and then they were now in an environment where people were wearing masks and voices were muffled, and we're right now we are having to deal with that. So the literacy piece was extremely important. We know that a lot of our population, we try to make sure that our clubs are accessible to all populations, and kids that come from lower income backgrounds suffer from just not having the same language as kids from more fluent backgrounds. So the literacy grant is going to help us address a number of issues on a number of levels that are prevalent right now, and again, trying to be solution-based in our offerings through the Boys and Girls Club.
We're going to come right back. This is a great discussion. We'll be back on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers to talk about a few other issues related to kids in our communities.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Remember 2010 in Northern Nevada, 13 to 14% unemployment, thousands of homes in foreclosure, Nevada's casinos closing? Families in the Reno-Sparks area were hurting. Many were losing everything. Then Story County launched a game changer for our region, a public-private industrial partnership, streamlined permitting, slashed bureaucracy, attracting Fortune 500 companies that made Nevada their home. Story County generated a river of cash to area communities. Economic studies by the state and others for the Gigafactory consistently show positive economic benefits for our region. $4 billion in local wages, $17 billion in consumer spending and economic activity, over $100 million in taxes to Washoe, Story, Reno, Sparks, and Nevada, just for the Gigafactory alone. Story County, improving Northern Nevada one industry at a time.
It's the $100,000 Cash is King Progressive giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Giveaways every Saturday with a Progressive up to $20K and $15,000 in guaranteed grand prize giveaways. There's another 100,000 reasons to play and win at the Carson Valley Inn.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
We're back on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Mike Draper, filling in for Sam Shad, and I'm joined today with the Boys and Girls Club, with Noelle Hardt, who's the Vice President of Government Relations for the Boys and Girls Club of Nevada Alliance, and with Mike Wurm, who's the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Truckee Meadows. Again, thank you both for being here. One of the things, Noelle, that you mentioned in our first segment was out of school time. Mm-hmm. And we talk a lot in the state about education and the quality of our education, how we can improve that. But we don't spend as much time talking about our kids when they're out of school. And that's the area where the Boys and Girls Club really tries to address. You've laid out some policy positions, or the Boys and Girls Club has laid out some policy positions that specifically address it out of school time. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Certainly. So part of the out of school time policy priorities for Boys and Girls Club includes our work around opioid prevention. So certainly we're responsive to knowing what's happening in the news, in our communities, and ultimately in the families that we serve. We also listen to the kids. So I think it's interesting in that that's one of the outcomes that our clubs really excel at when we talk to the kids, and we actually survey them every year through our outcomes initiative, and they say, you know, the club staff is there to listen to me, and I feel safe talking to the club staff, as well as parents report that in the survey as well. But the opioid prevention piece is unique in that we're able to capture kids in that safe space where they are with a safe mentor who's been professionally trained in substance abuse prevention, kind of dialogue, warning signs, things like that. And we're able to deploy a program that is evidence-based. It's called Positive Action. We actually started it about 6 years ago with then Attorney General Laxalt. And he was really looking for a way to partner with a community-based organization that had access to kids during a time when the school pressures weren't there, and it was a unique environment to have those candid dialogues. And so the interesting thing about Positive Action is that, yes, it addresses drug resiliency, but it also reinforces the positive behaviors and positive health behaviors, and connecting kids in the community with what are positive alternatives. And so we're happy to continue that as well beyond our initial grant with the Attorney General's office. We work with the legislature, and so we're continuing that program, and we'll look to have that, of course, in perpetuity as long as we're addressing this issue in the community.
Well, and Mike, I would have to imagine that, I know you've been doing this a long time, that COVID definitely created some new needs, particularly around opioid prevention.
Oh, absolutely, and many other issues that we're dealing with still today too, right? But I think, what was so unique about this grant when Attorney General Laxalt offered this opportunity was we were able to present as a united front, North, South, and rurals, this education for kids. And on the front side of the problem, right? So being more prevention minded, I think it's been proven time and time again that it's a lot more cost effective to build kids than to fix adults, and this really resonates in particular with a problem that's for all of Nevada, the opioid issue, and for us to Noelle's point, to be able to have a curriculum that this funding allowed us to go into the school world and pick a curriculum, positive action, and adapt it for after-school programming. So we work closely with that group. Those are hard things to do when, as clubs, we're typically out raising money just for sustaining and maintaining, but to raise money or to have money available so we can actually upstart new programs or develop new programs, that's where that funding was so critical. And then a number of us were able to take that funding and then parlay it into additional funding. So that program has gone well beyond the funding, and now it's part of our core, and we're able to educate kids. But again, trying to be problem solution based, and this is an issue with our community, and if we can get on the front side and prevent these issues, it's going to be a lot more cost effective for the community.
Well, you guys warned me we could fill up three or four episodes talking about some of this. We're going to come back for our final segment and talk about a few other things. We'll be back shortly on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Fantastic cocktails and delicious food.
It's a good time to eat.
Over 500 hot slots, plus electronic table games.
It's a good time to play.
Player rewards and big-time jackpots.
It's a good time to win.
Ooh, your good time's a tamarack.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the do-it-right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
7 at 7 is a newscast built for your smartphone. It's a 7-minute newscast available every weekday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at lvrj.com. We don't waste your time, and we give you the day's top stories.
We at the RJ have noticed some similarities between us and a certain BTS character, RJ.
Plus the latest in Las Vegas business, weather, health, and entertainment news. 7 at 7 streaming now on your smartphone.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And we're back on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Mike Draper, filling in for Sam Shad, and I'm joined today by the Boys and Girls Club, by Noelle Hardt, who's the Vice President of Government Relations for the Boys and Girls Club of Nevada Alliance, and Mike Wurm, the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Truckee Meadows. And again, thank you both. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you.
Before we leave, all of these things obviously are intertwined, as you know much better than I do. One other issue that I think is particularly prevalent in our community, it gets a lot of attention, is mental health. Mm-hmm. And I know the Boys and Girls Club has made that a priority of something that they're working to address. Noelle, can you talk a little bit about the ways Boys and Girls Club is trying to work with our kids to address mental health issues?
Absolutely. So we had to get up to speed on this topic in particular very fast. Thankfully, it is in our DNA to, of course, assess kids as they're coming in the door, just meet them where they're at, right? So whether it's urban, rural, whether we're meeting them in a school-based site, or in a licensed childcare or in a clubhouse. Essentially our staff are those first responders. And so our most comfortable space is assessing those kids and identifying whether or not they need additional services right then and there. And so I think part of being a community-based organization that lends itself to really being that first filter is that we're already connected to the community. So some of our clubhouses have taken mental health initiatives and really just run out of the stadium with them. They have behavioral health specialists, they have mental health clinicians, but every club is dealing with it based on the needs of their particular community.
Mike, we have about 60 seconds left, but to piggyback on what Noelle just said, one of the things that I think is really cool that Boys and Girls Club does is the unique partnerships it creates within our community. And I know as it relates to mental health that working with the universities is something that's been a priority.
Yeah, as Noelle said, we all have had to find our way to help address this. I mean, if you were a child, there's not a child out there that hasn't been affected by trauma in the last 4 years, and regarding a socioeconomic, race, ethnicity, everything, right? So, yeah, our brand of how we're helping kids is we've reached out to University of Nevada and Dr. Ken Cole, and they bring counselors into our club, and they work free counseling for kids that are available. And kids today are so much more accepting and looking forward to having someone to talk about the problems and work out their issues. So that's been really, really successful us in the trial that we've done the last year or so. Yeah.
And I know Boys and Girls Club in Southern Nevada is doing that with UNLV as well,
yes.
Right?
Correct. Yes, so they have a whole clinician team that is deployed to support their 13 clubhouses. So it's a very sophisticated operation.
Well, thank you both. We could obviously keep going, and we'll make sure to have you back on, but I really appreciate your time this morning, and these are definitely some important topics, so thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
And we'll be back on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful. Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School for workwear and everyday wear. Evaporative coolers, outdoor living, Weber's, Traeger's, and Lodge. Fill your propane tanks here. Big R on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can always watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day by downloading the audio or video podcast, watching us on YouTube, or just go to the website, nevadanewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next broadcast.